Yes, Professor, we can hear you. Can you hear us? Yes, I will give brief words before we start. And
Recording
then
in progress.
we can go with you, okay? Sure. So,
Okay.
entonces, antes de
Should
iniciar,
I'll try the slides.
sure. Sure. Mientras el profesor va
Wait a minute.
coordinando el tema de sus slides, me gustaría recordarles a todos de que la conferencia va a ser desarrollada principalmente en inglés. Los que deseen tener subtítulos pueden activarlos directamente a partir del Zoom, dándole clic en el botón More o más en su pantalla, y con eso se van a activar los subtítulos en español.
All right, I can put on the slides now. But then you don't. Wait a minute. Just a minute. Do you hear me?
Yes, Professor, we can hear you.
Okay.
Marco, iniciamos, por
favor.
Okay.
Okay. Well, it's 9 o'clock, and I'm ready. It's 2 o'clock in Peru.
Yes,
okay?
it's 2 o'clock in Peru, Professor.
And so, according to the program, we should start.
Yes, indeed. Just give me some minutes to give a brief introduction, and then we can go with you.
Okay, yeah, all
Okay,
right.
Professor.
Sure. According to the program you sent me, you have 3 minutes to give you an introduction.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Professor.
Okay.
So, buenas tardes con todos. Good afternoon, everyone. So, on behalf of the Faculty of Mathematical Sciences of the National University of San Marcos, it is my great pleasure to welcome you to this special conference with our distinguished guest, Professor and Nobel laureate, Professor Robert Aumann. Our university, founded in 1551 as the first officially established institution of higher education in the continental Americas, and the oldest continuously operating university in the continent, has played a fundamental role in the early development of academic disciplines in the region, including mathematics. Indeed, the Faculty of Mathematical Sciences traces its origins to the earliest mathematical chairs established in the 16th century, marking the beginning of university-level mathematical studies in Peru and across the American continent. It is therefore especially meaningful that this faculty and this university continue to preserve their relevance by fostering academic dialogue, organizing this seminar, and hosting today's conference with such a distinguished keynote speaker, Professor Robert Aumann. Professor Robert John Aumann is an Israeli-American mathematician and economist, and a Nobel in 2005 for his fundamental contributions to the analysis of conflict and cooperation. He shared the Nobel Prize with Thomas Schelling. Professor Aumann received his PhD in mathematics from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, and has been a central figure in the development of game theory and mathematical economics for several decades. In his autobiographical note for the Nobel Foundation, Professor Aumann recounts that during his graduate years at MIT, he became acquainted by young Nash, then a young instructor in mathematics at MIT, whose ideas in game theory left a lasting impression on him. Nash, a mathematician himself, would later be awarded a Nobel Prize in Economics in 1994. Professor Aumann is currently professor at the Center for the Study of Rationality at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. He also holds a visiting position at Stony Brook University and is a founding member of the Stony Brook Center for Game Theory. His work on repeated games, common knowledge, and strategic interaction has had a lasting influence across economics, political science, and related fields, and continues to inform both theoretical research and applied analysis. On a personal note, I had the pleasure of meeting and discussing these ideas with Professor Aumann himself a few years ago during the Lindau Nobel laureate meetings in economic science in Lindau, Germany, a forum in which Professor Aumann has participated on several occasions and where his work has been a lasting source of inspiration for generations of young economists and scholars from around the world. Thank you very much, Professor Aumann, for being here, and the floor is yours.
Okay, so let's get started. Second. Okay. Just a moment, I'm sorry for this. Okay. Now let's okay, here we go. Okay, so as I was requested, we're going to talk about a synthesis of behavioral and mainstream economics, okay? So it's usually taken that behavioral economics and mainstream economics are at loggerheads, that people do not behave the way that mainstream economics, mainstream economic theory prescribes. People do not behave in that way. People behave in an irrational way. And we're going to discuss this, and we're going to see by many examples that in fact the behavior of people is rational. Okay. Okay. So now let's go ahead. Economic behavior, like all behavior, is shaped by evolution, biological and cultural,
Professor, just
i.e.,
a brief comment. We cannot still see your slides. We can only see the Zoom screen.
you cannot see the slides.
Yeah, not yet.
Oh, I don't know what's wrong. Just a moment.
Sure, no problem.
Can you see this? Can you see a slide here? Just a moment. Okay.
Yes, now we can see it.
Now you can see. Okay,
Yes,
good.
sure.
Okay. So again, what I said before was heard, right? What I said was heard. Yes, Professor Carrasco. What I said was heard. Do you hear me
Yes, we
now?
can hear you. Yes.
Okay. Okay. So now, economic behavior, like all behavior, is shaped by evolution, biological and cultural. Now, by cultural evolution, I mean learning from experience, okay? Whether what you do works or doesn't work, whether what you do is good for you, improves your situation or not. And experience is one's own experience and that of others, okay? So in evolution, the fittest survive. One may expect economic behavior to be optimal or near optimal. So what you do is, I keep getting these requests. Two people entered the morning. Admit. Okay. All right. So on the other hand, behavioral economics has shown that people often behave by rules of thumb, okay? Heuristics and biases, which purportedly sometimes call for suboptimal behavior, which is not good for you, calling mainstream economics into question, okay? So behavioral economics says that that people behave by rules that are not good for you, okay, or need not be good for you. Now, in fact, the rules of behavioral economics have evolved, so almost always prescribe optimal behavior. The exceptions are in highly unusual scenarios, often contrived to elicit irrational behavior. In other words, by the behavioral economists on purpose, and I'll give examples of that, on purpose they do, the situations that they examine in their experiments are contrived, and they are contrived in a way which is made to elicit irrational behavior never really recurring, okay? So it's not subject to evolutionary pressures. These are unusual situations, okay? Okay. The exceptions are insignificant. I claim that the rules of thumb that have evolved, that people use, are in general good, but they are sometimes not good in the experiments of the behavioral economists because they have purposely put the situation in such a way so that people respond irrationally. And so the exceptions are insignificant. In practice, the biases and heuristics of behavioral economics prescribe optimal behavior. Mainstream economics is rehabilitated because in the usual situations, the rules, the heuristics, the biases of behavioral economics are good behavior, are optimal behavior. So mainstream economics is rehabilitated by behavioral economics because evolution prescribes optimality. Okay, what has evolved is what is best for the person using that bias. I'll give a few examples of that. Now, the most famous example of behavioral economics is called Linda. Now, Linda is, people were asked a question, and this was the question that was asked. Suppose Linda is a young, single, outspoken, and very bright. As a student, she was deeply concerned with discrimination and social justice. Is it more likely that Linda is a bank teller or that she is a bank teller and an active feminist? Okay? So people were asked this question. And okay. Now, it's obvious that it is more likely that she is a bank teller than that she is a bank teller and an active feminist. Okay, but the word feminism was brought into this discussion, and the answer of the large sample of students said 85% said that she is more active, that she is a bank teller and an active feminist. Okay, now okay, let's give another example. St. Ives. This is a nursery rhyme. As I was going to St. Ives, I met a man with 7 wives. Every wife had 7 sacks. Every sack had 7 cats. Every cat had 7 kits. Kits, cats, sacks, and wives. How many were going to St. Ives? Okay, that is the question. The person was going to St. Ives. He had 7. He met a man with 7 wives, and so on. So, what is the answer to that question? Okay, so the answer is the answer is there was 7. There was the man. there's the wife, there is the man he met, there's the wife, there's seven wives, 7 sacks, each wife, and so on. So altogether, it's 2,802. Okay? Now, is that right? No, it's wrong. The correct answer is 1, because the man, he met a man with 7 wives. He didn't, he was going to St. Ives, and he met a man with 7 wives going in the opposite direction. So that's irrelevant. Only he was going to St. Ives. Okay? Now, as I was writing this paper, and a grandchild, even a great-grandchild of mine, come to me and asked, why did Napoleon wear suspenders? Okay? And the answer is, and I couldn't give an answer. So I asked my great-grandchild, why did Napoleon wear suspenders? And the answer was to hold up his pants, okay? To hold up his pants, just like anybody wears suspenders. So what's even as I was writing this chapter, I got trapped in the same way. So what's the rule? What is the right thing? What is the rule by which people behave? And the rule is take what you're told as relevant. So in the case of Linda, you were given a long story, and you assume that that's relevant. It's not relevant to the answer. The fact that it's more likely that you're a bank teller and then that you're a bank teller and an active feminist is logic. It has nothing to do with Linda being young, single, outspoken, and very bright. The fact that there was only one person going to St. Ives is in the first line of this rhyme. The whole story is irrelevant, but you naturally assume that it's relevant, so you make this mistake. Why did Napoleon wear suspenders? To hold up his pants? It has nothing to do with Napoleon, okay? It has, anybody wears suspenders to hold up their pants, okay? So this is a trick question. Linda is a trick question. There's a person called Grice who wrote maxims for appropriate language, and make sure that all the information you provide is relevant to the current exchange. Omit irrelevant information. So this was Linda, the example of Linda, which is perhaps the most famous example of behavioral economics, is a trick question. It doesn't occur in practice. In practice, what you're told is relevant. And this was put there in order to trap the respondents to giving the wrong answer. Okay? All right, that's example 1. Example 2 is sunk costs. Okay, now this is something that was published by Ox and Bloomer in 1985. 3 types of season tickets were sold to people who approached the Ohio University theater ticket booth at the beginning of a season. approximately 1/3 of the patrons purchased season tickets at the full $15 price, 1/3 at $13, and 1/3 at $8. So people would come to the office of the Ohio University Theater or the ticket booth, and they would say, how much does a season ticket cost? So sometimes one third of the people were told $15, 1/3 of the people were told $13, and 1/3 were told $8. This was by arrangement, okay? This was in order to examine the behavior of people, okay? Now, compared with those who purchased tickets at $15, those who purchased tickets at either of the discounted prices attended fewer plays during the subsequent 6 months, okay? So the proposed analysis by the behavioral economists is that those who had sunk more money into the tickets were more motivated to use them, okay? So the tickets was what they had paid for the tickets was a sunk cost, and if the sunk cost was higher, then you were more motivated not to give up the sunk cost and to leave it. And this is irrational. What you paid is what you paid. It doesn't matter you can't get it back. It's irrational to take into account the amount that you paid. But that's not the correct analysis. This was published by Ox and Bloomer in 1985. The rule is you get what you pay for. So it's not a matter of sunk costs. Some who pay less value the tickets at less. So when another activity for the evening presents itself, they're more likely to take it, okay? So they don't, if you pay $15, it's worth $15. So if something else comes up for the evening, you say, it's worth $15 to you. So you, so you reject the alternative activity. If you only paid $8, okay, you value the play, you value the theater performance at $8, and something else may be worth more than $8 to you. Okay, so this is another. So this is not a matter of sunk costs. So unlike in Linda, really the answer was irrational, okay? Because, but here it's rational to behave in this way, to value something that you bought at the amount that you paid for it, okay? Okay, now let's take another example. The ultimatum game. So in the ultimatum game is two players, the proposer and the responder, must divide 100 euros. If they agree how, each gets his agreed share. If not, both get nothing. They sit at computers in separate rooms and cannot communicate directly. The proposal starts by making a numerical offer to R as to how to share the 100 euros without words, okay? You get so and so much, I get so and so much. The responder responds by clicking yes or no on his computer. No other response is possible. So in other words, the proposer has to decide what to offer to the responder, and the responder has to either reject or accept it. If he rejects it, nobody gets anything. Okay? So if they agree how it, so nobody gets anything. If he accepts, then they get according to the agreement. Okay, the game is then over. The players get their payoffs and leave by separate doors. They never see each other nor learn each other's identity. The subjects are students. They don't have very much money. Okay? So that is the game. The behavior is most proposers offer around 35 out of the 100 euros. Smaller offers, so if you give an offer that I get 80 and you get 20 euros, are rejected. Okay, so this is a research done by a team led by Professor Gut. Now, this is irrational, okay? Because it shows irrational behavior on the side of the responder, because the responder is offered 20 euros. 20 euros is not 100 euros. It's a small share of 100 euros, but it is 20 euros. And you can buy a lot of beer. This was done in Germany. You can buy a lot of beer with 20 euros, okay? So it's irrational. Once the responder responds, the game is over, okay? They never learn each other's identity. And you may as well, you are offered 20 euros. Why not accept it? It's irrational. And the rule is, don't let people kick you in the stomach. Reject unfair offers, lopsided offers. That's the rule, okay? Now, reject offers that are unfair. Now, the mechanism for executing the rule is feelings of wounded pride, insult, desire for revenge, honor. Okay? You feel insulted by an offer of 80-20. Okay? You want to take revenge. He said, you're only offering me 20 euros, so you're not going to get the 80 euros. You're not going to get any of the 100 euros. The rule and its mechanism evolved in natural scenarios where the negotiators know each other, okay? And not like in this scenario where the people never get to, they never see each other, nor do they never learn each other's identity. They don't, that is not the natural situation. So the rule evolved in natural situations where the negotiators know each other. If in such scenarios you accept lopsided offers, okay, you'll get a reputation for doing so. And in the future, you'll only get lopsided offers. You'll only get 80-20 offers. So rejecting is highly rational. In the contrived, artificial ultimatum game, reputational effects don't apply, as the players are totally anonymous. But the rule and its mechanism, okay, so that it doesn't apply. The reason doesn't apply. Totally anonymous, but the rule and its mechanism evolved in natural scenarios where they do apply, okay? So this is a contrived scenario. The ultimatum game is played in a situation that never occurs. Negotiations don't take place in separate rooms where you can't respond, and you leave by separate doors, and you don't know who that. You know the people that you negotiate with. The rule is rational. The rule not to let people kick you in the stomach is rational in spite of its irrationality in the contrived ultimatum game. Okay? So now, this is the third example we have. In the first example, in Linda, the scenario was contrived. In the second example, the people actually behaved in an optimal way. In this example, again, the scenario is contrived. Now we're going to go to another example. Okay, I have 10 more minutes. Co-holding. This is a very common situation. Many people hold credit cards with negative balances, and they pay high interest on those negative balances. Okay. And simultaneously, they hold totally liquid savings accounts with positive balances on which they get low interest. This seems irrational. Why not pay the credit card debt with withdrawals from the savings account, thus saving the difference between interest paid and interest received, okay? They get very little interest from their savings account. They pay a lot of interest on their credit card account, and this is irrational. See, it sounds irrational. Okay? Now, the rule, but I claim it's not irrational. The rule is spend with credit cards, save with savings accounts. Okay? Don't use savings accounts to spend. Yeah, okay? For credit card debts. Don't do that. Even though you're losing money, it's a bad practice. It's best to separate clearly between spending and saving. If you pay credit card debt with savings, you incentivize yourself to spend more and save less, okay? So you're spending more, and so this is penny wise, okay? Pound foolish, because you're going to spend a lot with credit cards until you have nothing left in the savings account, and then you'll have to pay the high interest. Okay, you're incentivizing yourself in the wrong direction. And like with the sunk costs, and unlike in Linda, the supposedly irrational behavior is actually rational. Don't use savings accounts, even though you get low interest, to pay credit card debt, even though you're paying high interest, okay? And this is actually rational. Now, the fifth example is overeating, okay? The behavior is that obese people often overeat. And the rule is eat when you're hungry, eat tasty food. The analysis. Although we need food for energy, growth, and various vital bodily functions, that's not what makes us eat. We eat because we're hungry and enjoy food, okay? What makes us eat is not the actual need for nourishment, but it's hunger and enjoyment of food. Hunger and food enjoyment are mechanisms that evolved in order to motivate us to eat, like the feelings of wounded pride, insult, desire for revenge, and honor that makes us reject lopsided offers in the ultimatum game. Biological evolution has not yet had time to take account of the sedentary nature of much of modern life. So, evolutionarily, obesity is highly uncommon, okay? So the rule is rational. Eat when you're hungry. Eat tasty food. Okay, in spite of irrational consequences for the obese. Biological evolution has not had time to take into account modern society where there are a non-negligible number of obese people, and they are actually motivated to eat because evolution has not. This is unusual, okay? So the unusual situation is so this is like in Linda, oops. So this in the so this is it's unusual to have the situation of obesity is unusual on the evolutionary time scale. So this is a situation like in Linda, where you're taking into account behavior in an unusual situation. Okay. Now we get to our last example. Hyperbolic discounting. Offered a choice between 10 euros on the spot and 11 euros tomorrow. Some experimental subjects choose 10 euros on the spot, whereas the same subjects offered a choice between 10 euros in a year and 11 euros in a year and a day, choose 11 euros in a year and a day, which may be viewed as irrational. It may be viewed as inconsistent, okay? If what difference does it make whether tomorrow occurs in a year or tomorrow? It's the same relationship. You get 11 euros a day later or 10 euros today. It's the same. So you could look at it as irrational. So the rule is a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, okay? It's a famous English or American proverb. the analysis. If you give me 10 euros now, I put it in my pocket, and that's the end of the story. 11 euros tomorrow, maybe yes, maybe no. There's a qualitative difference between now and later. Between 365 and 366 days, there's no qualitative difference. They're both in the future, okay? You might not get the 11 euros in 366 days, but also you might not get the 10 euros in 365 days. There's no difference. There's no difference between now and later, okay? So a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. In the case of in a year and a day, it's not in the hand in either case. So unlike in Linde, the supposedly irrational behavior is actually rational. An action item. The foregoing are 6 of about 30 items from the behavioral economics literature that we have examined. We found that in each, either the scenario is contrived or highly unusual, or the behavior is actually rational. An additional 6 of these items were presented in, wait a minute. Here, let's, the behavioral economics literature is huge. We conjecture that in much or all of it, either the red or the light blue alternatives obtain. If you're looking for, of course we could be wrong. If you're looking for a research topic, here's one, indeed many, and it's a win-win proposition, okay? So go through the behavioral economics literature, examine each of the biases or heuristics, and see whether they obey one of these two things. Either they're contrived or they're highly unusual, okay? Scenarios contrived or highly, either they're contrived or highly unusual, or in fact they're rational, okay? In fact, they're rational. Either one of those two things, the behavior is actually rational, or I claim again, to make this clear, the behavior is that I claim that in each and every case in behavioral economics, either the scenario is contrived and highly unusual, or is contrived, or it's highly unusual, or the behavior is actually rational when you look at it more closely. Okay, so we have a lot of, there are thousands of papers on behavioral economics. We can look at each one of them and decide whether I am right or wrong. And either way, you get a result of research. Okay, now according to the program, I should stop here. And I will stop and I'll summarize. Evolution has made most economic behavior rational. Okay, that is the summary. The most economic behavior, in whether even in biases and heuristics, or the economic behavior is actually rational. That is the summary, and that is the end of my talk. Gracias. Thank you. Good evening. Okay. And now I will stop share. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor. Thank you for your insightful lecture about your proposal about the synthesis of behavioral economics and mainstream economics. Now, we will proceed with the panel segment of the session, during which our invited panelists will pose their questions to Professor Aumann. And our first panelist is Francis Bloch. Francis Bloch is a distinguished French economist with a PhD in economics from the University of Pennsylvania. He is currently a professor of economics at Université Paris-1 Panthéon-Sorbonne, and is also affiliated with the Paris School of Economics. His research focuses on game theory, economic networks, and industrial organization, with contributions to coalition formation and social networks. He has published extensively in international journals and is a fellow of the Econometric Society and the Game Theory Society. Professor Bloch, please go ahead with your question.
Can you see me?
Yes, Professor.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can see you. Yes,
I just cannot see myself, and I see Bob
Okay.
instead. So first of all, I would like to thank you, Bob. It's always a pleasure to listen to you. Over the years, it's always been extremely interesting to listen to your presentations, and this one is one of the very best presentations that I've heard from you. I have 1 minute and one question, so I'll have to go fast. And that question that I would like to ask you, I would like to have your opinion on the distinction between rules and preferences.
Rules and preferences.
In the sense that many of, because you emphasize here rules and the evolution of rules over time, but there are also possible alternative explanations, which is just enriching the preferences.
Let me respond to that. A rule is what to do, okay? What to do, an action in a specific kind of scenario, okay? So, for example, in the rules are don't let people kick you in the stomach. That was one of the rules that I had. The rule is how to act. Just take into account, in Linda, the rule was take into account the story that was told to you. Assume that the story that is told to you is relevant, okay? That is a rule. It's not a preference, okay? The preference, the rule can lead to, generally, my thesis is that the rule generally leads to good results. The rule for the rules of behavioral economics generally lead to good results. That is my thesis, okay? Except in contrived scenario. A preference is whether you like one thing better than another thing, okay? You like more money more than less money. It's a totally different kind of thing. Okay.
Okay,
Next question.
Sure, thank you, Professor Bloch and Professor Aumann. So as our second panelist, we have Ricardo Nieva. He's a Peruvian economist who earned his PhD in economics from the University of Minnesota. He has held academic positions at universities in Peru, Canada, and the United States, and is currently a professor of economics at the University of Lima. His research interests include macroeconomics, game theory, and economics of corruption. And in addition to his academic work, he has served as an economic consultant in both Peru and Canada, and actively participates in international academic conferences addressing contemporary economic challenge. Professor Nieva, the floor is yours.
Professor Aumann, okay, glad to see you again. I've seen you in the Game Theory Festival several times. And I have two questions, quick questions. With more economic decisions delegated to AI, artificial intelligence agents, that optimize objectives, will behavioral economics become less central, or will behavioral effects persist through objective design, learning, and human artificial intelligence interaction? Second question, why has behavioral economics become so popular, and how can economists better show that rigorous mathematical models can still address major social problems like conflict, peace, corruption, and inequality, as the research represented on this panel does?
Okay, two questions, yeah?
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
So the first question, remind me what the subject was.
Yes, I mean, with artificial intelligence, everybody using artificial
Artificial
intelligence.
intelligence,
Right.
yeah, okay. I think artificial intelligence is based largely on what is published, what is written about something, okay? It's not necessarily based on an analysis of the correct way to behave. So I don't know whether artificial intelligence will I think it has not yet given there's no evidence, or there's little evidence that it is given good advice to people, advice based on if you ask them for how certain actions respond, maybe they give answers, but I don't think that it has as yet proven itself in the area of optimal behavior. What was the second question? No, I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Yeah, now yes. Why has behavioral economics become so popular, and how can economists better show that rigorous mathematical models can still address major social problems like conflict, peace, corruption, inequality, as the research represented on this panel does?
Behavioral economics has become popular because I think you go out and you do an experiment, and there's a way to publish the results of experiments. It's a fad, yes. I think it's also very important, actually, because how people behave is what makes the economy run. So behavioral economics is important because that is actually how people behave. Now, I don't argue against behavioral economics. I argue that behavioral economics, in fact, prescribes optimal behavior. Okay, so it's not but the title of my talk was a synthesis of behavioral and mainstream economics. That means that they are not, as usually conceived, they are not at loggerheads. Okay. Behavioral economics is how people actually behave when it's done correctly. I mean, very often, like in Linda or in some of the other examples that I would be obesity, or it's Linda is not the way people actually behave, or it's not. It's a contrived situation. People usually behave in an optimal way. But in answer to your question, why has it become popular? It's because that is the true way that people behave. Next.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Professor. Now we're moving forward with our third and last panelist. He's Cesar Martinelli. He's a Peruvian economist with a PhD in economics from the University of California, Los Angeles, and is currently Professor of Economics at George Mason University. His research focuses on political economy, collective decision-making, and electoral behavior, with publications in international economic journals. He is a fellow of the Econometric Society and the Society for the Advancement of Economic Theory, and has held previous academic appointments in Mexico and Spain. His work bridges economic theory, public policy, and Latin American political economy. Professor Martinelli, please go ahead with your question.
First of all, thank you, Professor Aumann, for another wonderful talk. And thank you to Universidad San Marcos for being there for Peru and for us, for Latin America in general, for so many years. So Professor Aumann, I was listening to your examples, and I was thinking in particular about the obesity example. In that case, our behavior honed by evolution may not be fitted for the circumstances that we live in, but may not be fitted to modern society. And I wonder if that is increasingly the case in modern world, because we shop online, we interact online, so we do many decisions in environments that evolution has not prepared us for. So I wonder if behavioral economics, or at least the synthesis between behavioral and mainstream economics, is more relevant today, because of modern life puts us in situations that we are not evolutionarily prepared for.
Well, no, I don't think so. I think that the evolution I'm talking about is most. I had one example of biological evolution, one example out of the 6 examples. The 6 examples are presented. Actually, there are 30 or more examples, but one was biological evolution. But most of the examples were not biological evolution, but cultural evolution, okay? Now, cultural evolution works much faster than biological evolution, okay? Cultural evolution is you act in a way which is good for you and which you have learned by your experience or learning from others, but so also from others' experience. But your actual experience is current now, okay? And it's true that biological evolution in many will not can be outdated, but there's something that biological evolution has not had time to take into account of a lot of obese people. But most of the examples that I brought have to do with cultural evolution, which what you learned by your experience is the way people behave. So I think that makes this kind of evolutionary approach relevant.
Thank you, Professor.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much to our panelists for their thoughtful questions, and once again to Professor Aumann for his generous and insightful responses. At this moment, let me share this as well. Okay. So at this moment, please, we would like to proceed with the presentation of a certificate of recognition. So this is on behalf of the National University of San Marcos and the Faculty of Mathematical Sciences. We hereby award this certificate of recognition to Professor Robert Aumann for his distinguished participation as keynote speaker in the international seminar, Advanced Economics and Finance in an Uncertain Environment, Areas of Specialization and Mathematical Models. This certificate is issued as a formal recognition of his academic contribution to the seminar and is signed by Dr. María Natividad Segarra Garay, Dean of the Faculty of Mathematical Sciences, and Professor Violeta Alicia Norberto Cifuentes, Director of the school. Professor Aumann, congratulations and thank you very much.
Thank you. It was my pleasure to be here this evening, and thank you very much for the certificate. And that's it. And please enjoy the Peruvian afternoon, and I will enjoy the Israeli evening. Okay.
Thank you, Professor. Yes, we kindly invite Dr. María Natividad Segarra, Dean of the Faculty of Mathematical Science, to share the last brief closing remarks, please.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello, distinguished colleagues, authorities, and students. It is an extraordinary privilege to stand here in our international seminar today to thank a mind that has redefined the boundaries of our discipline economy. Hosting a Nobel laureate is always a historic occasion, but listening to Professor Dr. Robert John Aumann has been a true masterclass in intellectual clarity. Hailing from Israel, a nation that has shown the world that a country's most valuable resource is not its geography, but the intellect and resilience of its people. Our guest embodies that tradition of excellence. His contributions to economic theory do not merely reside in textbooks. They have shaped public policy and transformed our understanding of global economic markets. Professor Robert John Aumann, congratulations. Thank you for your generosity in sharing your knowledge with us. You leave us not only with answers, but with new and better questions to pursue in our research. The Faculty of Mathematical Science of the National University of San Marcos of Lima, Peru, will always be your home. You leave us not your home. We look forward to welcoming you back to our academic halls, always as the guest of honor that you are. Please, let's give a warm round of applause to our distinguished guest, Professor John Robert Aumann.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. So this is the end of our event. We just kindly invite the organizing committee, the panelists, and of course, our distinguished keynote speaker, Professor Robert Aumann, to remain on the screen for a closing group photo, please.
Okay.
Sure. Okay, so.
Okay, thank you.
So I think it's on, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Jorge. Thank you. Well, thank you so much once again, Professor Robert Aumann. It was a pleasure to see you, and until next time.
It was a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.